Good morning. Myself Shalini, Assistant Professor from CSC Department. So today's topic is arrays. Let's look into this clear picture of an arrays. What do you mean by this array? First, why to use this array? So introduction, the fundamental data types, namely character, integer, float, double and variants of int and double can store only one value at any given time. Therefore, they can be used only to handle limited amounts of data. In many applications, we need to handle a large volume of data in terms of reading, processing, and printing. To process such large volume of data, C supports a derived data type known as an array that facilitate efficient storing, accessing, and manipulation of data items. Okay, let's see the definition of an array. An array is a fixed size sequenced collection of elements of the same data type. Okay, sequenced collection of elements of the same data type. Examples where the concept of an array can be used are list of employees in an organization. Okay, so list of employees will be obviously the employees list will be in the form of what, a character. So you can store the names of the employees with using this array. Then list of products and their cost. Cost would be obviously in the form of float or what, an integer. So you can store the cost of the products in this array. Okay, because it is a collection of so it is a collection of elements of the same data type. Data type means what? Whether you need to store an integer value or a character value, it will store the same data type values. Next, test scores of a class of students, right? So means what? The score of the student would be obviously in the form of integer. You can you can what store the scores of the scores of class of students. Then list of customers and their telephone numbers. The telephone numbers will be obviously, you will be having 10-digit numbers, so you can use double data type here, and you can store the telephone numbers with using this array concept, right? So these are some of the concepts of an array that can be used, right? So now see, since an array provides a consequent structure for representing data, it is classified as one of the data structures in C, right? So types of arrays, we are having different types of arrays. So mainly we are having these three types of arrays, that is nothing but one-dimensional array, two-dimensional array, and multi-dimensional array. First of all, we are going to see about this one-dimensional array, how the one-dimensional array will work. A list of items can be given one variable name using only one subscript, and such a variable is called a single subscripted variable or a one-dimensional array. We call it as what? An array with one subscript. We call it as what? A single dimensional array, or we call it as what? A one-dimensional array. Let's see how the declaration of this one-dimensional array, right? So, like any variable, arrays must be declared before they are used so that the compiler can allocate space for them in memory. Like general variables, you need to declare this array variable also so that the compiler can allocate space for them in memory. Then how to write the syntax for this array? Type means nothing but the data type followed by variable name. Variable name is nothing but an array variable name, then followed by its size. The type specifies the type of element that it will be contained in the array, such as integer or float or character. The size indicates the maximum number of elements that can be stored inside an array. You can store so many elements inside an array. So the size indicates the number of elements that to be stored in an array. Then see, this is an example for an array. So here we have used what? An integer data type. The number is nothing but the array variable name followed by its size. So you are storing 5 elements of type what? An integer. So here the type is what? An integer. Then declares the number to be an array containing 5 elements. Any subscripts 0 to 4 are valid, and the computer reserves first storage locations as shown below. So here are the memory locations to store the elements in an array. So number is nothing but your array name. Of 0 means first element you are storing. You are having 5 elements. The array index always starts with 0 and ends with n minus 1 if you are having 5 elements. So you will be storing how many elements? 5 elements, but the index values are from only 0 to 4. So you are going to store the same data elements in this memory locations as shown here, right? Then any reference to the array outside the declared limits would not necessarily cause an array. Rather, it might result in unpredictable program results. The size should be either a numeric constant or a symbolic constant. You can use either a numeric constant or a symbolic constant for specifying the size of an array. Then how to initialize this array? After declaration, you need to initialize the array. Then how to initialize this one-dimensional array? After an array is declared, its elements must be initialized. Otherwise, they will contain what? A garbage values. Garbage values means what? Some unpredictable values. An array can be initialized at either of the following stages. You are having two types of initializations like general variable, the compile time initialization and runtime initialization. Let's see the compile time initialization of an array. We can initialize the elements of array in the same way as the ordinary variables when they are declared. At the time of declaration, we can initialize the values of an array same like a variable. Then see the syntax how the elements are initialized. Type array name of size is equals to list of values. The values in the list are separated by commas. For example, the statement int number of 5. You are storing 5 elements in an array. List of values are nothing but you can directly give the values to that array. Like that, you are going to store 5 elements in an array in the order from 0 to 4 because array index always starts with 0 and ends with n minus 1, and you are taking 5 elements into an array using this above syntax. If the number of values in the list is less than the number of elements, then only that many elements will be initialized. Okay. The remaining elements will be set to 0 automatically if the type is numeric and null if the type is character. Now see here you have taken float total of 5, but you are only initializing 3 values and the remaining values will be automatically set to 0. See here, with will initialize the first 3 elements to 0, 0.0, 5.2, minus 10, and the remaining 2 elements will be set to 0 because your size is more than the number of elements that you have taken in the list. So the remaining 2 elements will be set to 0 if your type is what? A float. Then if we have more initializers than the declared size, then the compiler will produce an error. Like here example, int number of 3, you have only taken the size as 3, but you are taking 4 elements in the list, so it is illegal in your C. So the size may be omitted in the declaration statement. In such cases, the compiler automatically takes the enough space for all initialized elements. For suppose, you can also give the size as empty while at the time of declaration. Okay, and you are taking how many elements into an array? 4 elements. Then the size of an array will be automatically set to what? 4, because you are not specifying the size here. So this can also be done by at the time of declaration part, right? We'll declare the count array to contain 4 elements with initial values. This approach works fine as long as we initialize every element in the array. Character arrays may be initialized in a similar manner. Thus, the statement character name is equals to, if you want to take the elements as your character, a single character, then you need to specify that character in a single quote followed by comma, and that elements are nothing but your character elements in an array, and the size will be set to that particular characters that you have taken in the list, as I have explained uh, in above example. Declares the name to be array of 5 characters initialized with the string hello ending with the null character. Alternatively, we can assign the string literal directly as character name is equals to hello. If you want to take the complete character, if you want to take the complete string as your array, then you need to specify that in double quotes. Runtime initialization. An array can be explicitly initialized at runtime. This approach is usually applied for initializing large arrays. For example, consider the following segment of C program. So here if you want to take the elements from 0 to 100, so this is nothing but runtime initialization. You are initializing the values to a variable. If I is less than 50, then you are calculating sum of I. Generally sum of I will be 0.0, else sum of I is equals to 1.0. So this is nothing but runtime initialization. The first 50 elements of the array sum are initialized to 0, while the remaining 50 are initialized to 1.0 at runtime. We can also use a read function such as scanf to initialize an array. We can also use the scanf function. If you are having only 3 elements, then you need to write what scanf percentile d, percentile d, percentile d. You need to read 3 values ampersand x of 0, 1 and 2. So this can also be done by using this arrays, that is nothing but runtime initialization. I will be explaining the programs later. Just to try how to write a program to find minimum, maximum and average in an array of integers. Okay, so these are some of the examples to try it by yourself. C program to print array elements in reverse order. C program to replace all even elements by 0 and odd elements by 1 in one-dimensional array. C program to swap adjacent elements of a one-dimensional array. Okay, thank you.